On a worldwide scale, some 22 million people suffer from active substance use disorder, and over 45 million people are directly impacted by addiction. Collectively, drugs and alcohol kill some 11.8 million people every year. That's almost double the total number of reported deaths worldwide from COVID-19, and yet we fail to see the magnitude of this universally accepted pandemic. Today, almost everyone you meet will know at least one friend or family member that suffers from addiction. If you're watching this, you may be one of them. But what you're about to see is a handful of stories. Stories of hope, stories of encouragement, the stories we all need to hear. These are the stories, the true stories of transformation.
My name is Dion Thompson, and I'm 51 years old. When I was a child, I lived with both parents, my mother and my father. I was one of many children. My father used to say all the time that he'd raised 22 children and had never been on welfare a day in his life. That was something he was very proud of. Even though I had both parents in the household, it wasn't as wonderful as people may think. My mother was the real disciplinarian. My father, he would, but it was mostly my mother. By the time she was done beating me, I had blood pouring down my back, my legs, my arms. And so that was probably the beginning of my road towards my addiction.
So my name is Johnny Adams. It's Jonathan Adams, but I go by Johnny. I'm 41, and I've been sober for just over 6 years. We lived on just under, I believe it was an acre of property, and there were 6 of us, 2 parents, 4 kids. And let's see, the property had no power, no running water, no electricity, no nothing. It was just a plot of dirt in the middle of the forest, kind of, about a half a mile from the road. My stepfather was a raging alcoholic.
Don't tell me to do that! Get out of my face!
We're talking 2 cases of beer a day, probably, somewhere around there. So I grew up seeing it. He was smoking pot, doing drugs, and it was always in my face as a child. So I kind of grew up thinking, I guess you could say, that was okay, I was drinking and smoking marijuana and smoking meth, and probably back then I was smoking heroin a little bit here and there, mainly taking pills, things like that. I've been using since I was 14.
My name's David Burke. I'm in recovery. I'm very grateful to have 21 years in recovery, clean and sober. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. We had a big family. I come from a big Irish family, very Irish, celebrating a lot of parties. We It was normal to drink Irish whiskey, and, you know, we'd have to do an Irish jig and a bunch of stuff before it was time to eat. And it was all about tradition, but tradition came with a lot of drinking as a child, so it was normalized for me as a kid. You know, if I got a cold, normal people would get cold medicine. Well, my dad would wrap me up in a wool blanket and give me some rock and rye whiskey, and kind of, you know, it was normalized that way.
Go leave, but the boy stay with me.
Now he's my son, and I'm taking him with me. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I am. You're a fool.
My dad did drink a lot, so he was an alcoholic. He was a functional one, but not a very successful one.
Don't look, just come with me. Stand. No, honey. We have to leave. We cannot. We're gonna go, right? Yes, honey. What are you saying? Is this what you want? Do you want me with me?
Well, I started drinking when I was 11, and I drank until I would OD and have to go to the hospital, like where I can excessively throw up and have to go to the emergency room. My brother, he was younger, but he had an older girlfriend who bought us the alcohol. But I have to remember I was ODing on Cisco and drinking that excessively at the age of 11 because I've been pretty much on my own. My mom, she's not alive. I don't really like talking about her, but I felt unwanted and not wanted around because my mom had younger boyfriends, and I felt like that's why I was pushed away. And so I would just, she wouldn't want me there. And I would leave and go to like family's house on the other side of town. Well, when I was younger, I got caught stealing because that's actually how I would support myself. You know, stealing alcohol or what other people needed so that I can get money to drink.
My name is Sean Lusing. I am 50 years old. And I would say that my childhood, I wasn't a terrible childhood. It wasn't a great childhood. Just in the work that I do, I've heard much worse stories than mine for sure.
Because I'm trying to read.
Well, stop!
Stop. I'm trying to relax. Like, you're just nagging me.
Well, you're ignoring me.
I'm ignoring you because you're all drugged up.
No, I'm not.
You're nuts.
No, I'm not.
Stop.
I personally believe that I was just wired a little bit differently. My parents divorced when I was 5 years old or so, 5 or 6 years old. And I do remember kind of very specifically blaming myself for that divorce, which seems a very odd thing for a 5 or 6 year old to do. So I personally believe that I was just wired a little bit differently than your average person, because I don't think your average 5 or 6 year old would take on that kind of responsibility.
I went to a private school, and so when I went to school, like my uniform had covered everything, so nobody saw anything. And I remember getting home from school, and one of my older brothers had come by the house, and they saw the marks on me, and they took me away from the house and took me to their house and called the police. I remember having to go to the hospital and having pictures taken of me and all of that. And then I was placed in foster care.
Do you know where they're taking me? We've got you now.
When I ended up in foster care, that was my first taste of freedom. And that is actually when I drank for the first time. I remember going to a park with one of my foster sisters, and there were some guys there, and they actually lived across the street from the park, and they invited us over, and I didn't want to go, but my foster sister, she was like, yeah, let's go, let's go. So I remember going in the house, and we were sitting there, and one of the guys gave me a glass, and I drank it, and I remember choking. I'm like, oh my God. And so before you know it, I was highly intoxicated.
Where are you going? It's not all.
He started trying to take my clothes off of me, and I'm like, no. And then someone else was trying to come in the room. And all I remember is getting up and running.
Hey, where are you going? Come back. Let's get her.
And I ran out of the house, across the street, back to the park. And I was trying to get away from him. And I remember running through the trees. And I remember them catching me. And I would pass out, and I'd wake up, and I'd see another face in front of me. And I'd pass out, and then another face. And that's pretty much all I remember from that night. My foster sister took off and left me, and I remember getting in trouble when I got back to my foster parents' house, and I decided right then and there I couldn't put up with this, and I ran away. And so I was pretty much just out on the streets doing whatever it took to survive.
Well, I used him as a coping mechanism, as a buffer, if you will, to not feel my childhood. It all stems back to that, how you were raised, what you went through, and getting beaten. And, I got beat every day, until I started beating back. In my younger years, you're just a kid, and you use the drugs you can find. You're 14. Imagine a 14-year-old trying to score heroin. It's not easy.
Heat it up. Now, I'll show you.
No one will sell you heroin at 14. You literally have to go, you gotta go to hell and back to get it, basically. You gotta find the most evil person in the world that will sell a child heroin. So I met some rather not nice characters and eventually found some guys that would sell it to me.
But my dad did teach me these core values, and it stuck with me for my whole life, even though he was compromised by his addiction. It was how to respect a woman, how to respect yourself in the process, and society at large.
I'm still vertical, so I'd like to change that.
Vertical? Yeah, pour yourself, Mr. Vertical. Three things you need to know. Number one is knowing how to respect a woman.
Yeah.
No, Oh, bloody you got to do it on maintaining your own self-respect.
Yeah.
Your self-respect and the society in general.
Right. Yeah.
Vertical.
Yeah. Vertical.
Vertical. Yeah, you know how vertical it means.
Yeah, I don't.
That's my voice.
When my mother and father broke up, we became homeless. We owned a cabinet shop in San Juan Bautista. And so that's all we had.
Your mom, she's gone. She's gone. Yeah. I drink you. But I need you to stay in school. You understand that? You're staying in school.
Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna this loft.
Yeah.
You know why? Because that's what we got. Yes. I'm gonna get with the dollar.
I ran away, and I remember just doing whatever it took to survive. And, you know, when you're out there like that, people take advantage. I was 12. I was 12 years old. And so I remember every time I would get caught, they would pick me up, take me back to foster care, and I would take off. And so I remember being in foster care again after they had picked me up for, I don't know how many times. And so my sister had asked me to come over and babysit for her. And so I did. And I remember sitting there and watching them, and they were having so much fun, it seemed like. And so I wanted to be a part of it. And that was pretty much the end for me for many, many years. I would babysit, and they would pay me with meth. And so that went on for quite some time. They would put me in foster care, I'd run away. They'd put me in foster care, I'd run away. And finally, one day, they decided to take me and place me in a group home. And so I remember being there, and I went out with some of the girls that were there, and we were drinking, and I remember smoking weed with them. And the next thing I knew, I woke up strapped to a bed. Whatever we were smoking had been laced. And I don't remember any of it, but I heard some of the stories. And so I remember waking up, and I was in a mental hospital because apparently I had flipped out and kind of lost it. And they said that one of the counselors in the group home had tried to hold me down, and I was on my back and literally picked her up and threw her across the room.
Don't touch me, who are you?
And so after being released from the hospital, I went back to the group home, and once again, I ran away.
And I'm just driving down the street, going to get lunch, I'm sure. Nothing about it, nothing major. Just driving, and a car hits me head on and buckles the truck. You know, the bed of the truck is like this, and the cab's like this. So, I mean, it hit me. And it messed up my back, and it's still messed up to this day. So, I was put on a stretcher and taken to the doctors, and they put me on Norcos for the pain. and I was on the Norcoast for probably 2 years, probably maybe less, maybe more than right around 2 years. And I was taking 4 to 6 a day, prescribed. And eventually the doctor goes, okay, you should be good now, so we're gonna cut you off. So I was still in pain. I'm still in pain to this day, so it hurts. So when he cut me off, that's when I really went into the streets and really found, like, I would buy any Norcos I could find. And I got to a point where I was eating, you know, I'd look at my hand, I'd dump some in my hand, and 17, 20 at a time, pop those twice a day, once in the morning, once that would wear off, and I would pop more in the afternoon. And I did that for some years. I've been in and out of jail my entire life. So I remember one time I was released at noon in the morning, and I was back in jail by 5 o'clock that night.
John, we get back in the bank. I want to see my lawyer. You will not get. I want to see my lawyer. John, I want to see my lawyer. I gotta get out of here. Let me out of here.
I mean, again, the roller coaster. And I didn't think I had a problem. At one point, I had just accepted it. I had just told myself, you know, you're a junkie, and that's what you are, and that's what you're gonna be.
The cabinet shop was just a cabinet shop. So we had to get to work, right? So we built a loft on top of it. We're craftsmen. So we built a loft on top of it with a bed and stuff like that. And, you know, however we could cook. So, but that bond we had between each other was so strong. It was just like, we're gonna get through this.
You're ironing first, right? Yeah. Tell me when.
When?
That's a good pour. Drink it. So you take your tool and you run it across the wood first, right? And then you sand her down. You can finish that. I know you got it. There you go. There's an Irish lad for you.
So when I struggled with my addiction, I can't even say it snuck up on me, because I really realized what I was doing. And at that time, that was my culture. You know, that was when I was growing up. I didn't know. It was a time like in the early 80s, like in 1980 and stuff like that, where cocaine was just coming in, hallucinogenics, you know, acid, mushrooms, mescaline, you name it. You know, it's just like, you know, we kind of did that dance and stuff. And then, you know, the alcohol, you know, it was just normalized for me because it was going through the stuff, but the whole time trying to function in life.
From early on, since a child, I just block everything out. I don't remember my mom getting beat her whole life. My brothers all do. My honesty is I don't remember a lot, because I have that wall to protect me because of the situations that I've been in since I was 11. And that's how I protected myself. Those are like why I don't remember portions. I was on so much pills and marijuana and like alcohol, you know, so because I have been doing opiate pills for a long time. This is how it was for me. And I got caught stealing once, and I stayed in juvenile hall because there was no one to come and get me, because my dad was in prison, my mom was off with her boyfriend.
So I'm a pretty smart guy. I was in the gifted classes, but I didn't really fit in there. I was athletic. You can't tell by looking at me now, but I was athletic. And so I didn't fit in with the jocks or anything like that. Until freshman year, sophomore year or so, I discovered a whole nother class that I did fit in with, and that was the stoners. And so I certainly fit in there, and has founded people that kind of, thought like me, that, kind of were looking to trying to escape myself, is what I would say, is that I didn't think I fit in anywhere. And so I was trying to kind of find a way to fit in somewhere where it would be okay to be me. And I had a really hard time finding that until I discovered drugs. Back then, it was not okay to be me because I wasn't enough. I wasn't good looking enough. I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't smart enough. I just wasn't enough.
Let's just face it, man. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm just not enough, period.
Whoa, just calm down, okay? Look at me. You're fine. You're good enough, okay? Just get it together, all right?
But, if I get a little bit of alcohol in me, there's a reason they call it liquid courage. All of a sudden, I'm smarter, I'm funnier, I'm better looking, I'm a better dancer. I can't dance to save my life, but I could when I was on alcohol. And so it made remarkable changes in my psyche, and that's why it's such a powerful thing, is that, if you're in that state where nothing seems to make you okay, but then all of a sudden you find this thing that makes you okay, how can you not do it? And how can you not do it at every possible opportunity?
Bro, I've had like 6. Okay. All right. Wait, bro. You got that girl? Which one? On the right. I like her.
Well, she's already mine, so you gotta find a different woman.
She's already yours?
Made eye contact with me.
I ended up giving birth to my daughter when I was 16 years old. I gave birth to my first child. I have 9 children total. And so I gave birth to my oldest child April 10th, 1988. And I was 16 years old. And this guy ended up becoming my pimp. And so, I remember him putting me out on the streets at first and wanting me to find massage parlors that I could go and work in, but I was too young. So he had me out on the street for years. And I remember one night I was out on San Pablo, right in front of the Shell station in Oakland. And he was parked across the street watching me. And I remember one of my younger sisters was actually with us that night. And so I'm out there and I remember this car pulling up.
Hey, sugar.
What's going on, girl?
Looking for a date?
Yeah, let's party.
Got some party favors? Okay, you got a friend? You got a party favor too?
And so I look in the car, I jump in with him, and as soon as the car drove off, somebody came up from the back seat and put a gun to my head.
We're having a good time. Let's get some party favors out now. We don't need to.
All right.
How about you take your clothes off?
No, please. That's not the kind of party I want. Don't shoot me, please.
And I still don't know if he saw this happen or what. I get out of the car and they make me get on my knees. And just as I get on my knees, I remember seeing headlights. And they jumped in the car and took off. And it just so happened to be him and my sister. They had found us. And I know that those guys were about to kill me that night. Well, by this time I had actually married him. I was married to him. I was married to my pimp. And it was a love-hate relationship.
What I just tell you? Food on the plate, man. I ain't worried about none of this. This is your fault. This is your fault.
What did I just tell you? I'm busy and I gotta change the baby.
Food on the plate, man.
It was a love-hate relationship. You know, I really thought I loved him and would do anything for him. I'd like to think that it was the drugs that, you know, because I was constantly using, you know, I had to use to be able to actually do what I was doing. I couldn't do it unless I was under the influence. And, you know, I would have breaks in between because I would end up pregnant. And so when I'm pregnant, things are good between us. But as soon as I'm not pregnant anymore, then we go right back to, I gotta go to work, you know?
So I told myself this is okay. That's how they lived. So, you know, I didn't, again, know that it was that big of a deal. I had no hope for myself. I mean, you know, when you live on the street and you're sleeping in a cardboard box every night, you know, it is what it is. I found a place. The very first moment I realized, oh my God, I'm homeless. Like, this is horrible. Where am I gonna sleep tonight? I was walking around, I was in downtown Sacramento. I can't even remember how old I was. I was walking around. I remember going there and like taking one of the boards down and going in, and I cleaned it all out and there was a bunch of rubbish, trash everywhere, you know, and I cleaned it out and I set up an apartment there. And then one day the owner comes.
Who are you?
And realizes, oh my God, someone's living here. Well, I'm a personable guy, you know. I'm not a threat. I'm not gonna give him attitude. He handed me a key and kept a key and said, "You keep the riffraff out and you can stay." And I said, "Oh, sweet." So I lived there for probably 2 years.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night.
Thank you.
You know, when my brother was he was cultivating up in Humboldt County, I would get buds from him, go up there, bring them back to Salinas, and basically sell them. And I would, you know, kind of diversify my funds that way, you know, to say the least. But, you know, here I thought I could outsmart it. I could outthink it. I was still good in sports. I excelled all the way through it. And I did start working and everything. But at that time in my life, things were going pretty good. And then me and my father, the night before I went to this concert, we were drinking this bottle of Irish whiskey.
I can tell. You're all perky up. Can I take this with me? A little bit fast. You get half. That's it. Half. Just half. Away. I'm not going to take all of it. So who is she? Who's who? Come on, you're all perky up like that. You're going out for a night. You're not for anybody. Who do you have? Oh, this is the good stuff. I love you. I hate you. I'll be back. You kiss her for me, right? Twice with Irish.
We had actually taken hallucinogenics that night, you know, some mushrooms and stuff. And so I was completely coming down off it, you know, I was good and everything. And I noticed our cabinet shop lights were on and everything. When I saw the lights on in the cabinet shop, I knew in my gut there was something wrong.
Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad. I should have been there. Oh, I should have been.
And then the police showed up, and it was just like I just started shaking, and it wasn't like I was scared. It wasn't like I was numb. It was just like, you know, I was really present with what reality and my future had in stake. And I wasn't feeling sorry for myself for the fact that I was feeling bad because, you know, me and my dad had each other's back. And so when I lost him, I had nothing else in life. I had nothing else in life left.
Anyways, I lived with my boyfriend, and I tried to go to school, but I ended up like just smoking weed, partying. I didn't think I had a problem. When I was raised, this is what I knew. So I didn't know I had a disease of addiction. I didn't know that I had a problem. I actually have 6 kids, okay? So there's just addiction. And then I got married to someone else. Okay, I was with my son's dad for a while, and then I met someone else that used to come over and hang out, and it was my brother's friend, and then we hung out once, and I got pregnant. Anyways, it's like a bunch of blanks because I was under the influence this whole time. Then I started using harder drugs. Well, Those were hard, but I was doing heroin.
You can call me every 53 hours. Your friends, what did they say about me?
Nothing.
Cut them off. Cut them off. I said cut them off.
I noticed over the years that friend list got smaller and smaller, and the reason for that is that I would go out and be drinking crazy amounts of alcohol, and not everybody would do that. Not everybody thought that was okay, and it just seemed so normal to me that why wouldn't you drink that much or indulge in that many other drugs as well? But apparently that wasn't normal, and so a lot of people kind of just said, yeah, I'm going to distance myself from Sean.
So have you done that assignment from Mr. Roberts' class yet?
No.
Are you gonna do it?
Probably not. Actually, I had a question for you though. Why do you go to church?
To feel more centered.
Well, I never feel a center, so guess I'm good. I don't need to go, huh?
I don't know about that. I mean, you're a little wobbly sometimes.
I know you ain't talking. It's crazy.
What I didn't know, what I've since learned, is that it's not that I was never out of center. I'd never been in center, so I had no point of reference to consider. So just being way out in left field was normal for me, as opposed to kind of being centered and grounded and feeling at peace. I had no concept of that, and so that was kind of my first brush with spirituality, where I kind of thought maybe there's something missing from my life.
Unfortunately, my kids, no matter what was going on, they were always just along for the ride. And fortunately, they were all still pretty young. And so in that 6 years, I had 5 children. And they were just along for the ride. Whatever mommy and daddy said, that's what we did. Him and his cousin had tried to rob a Jack-in-the-Box, and he shot the manager in the neck and paralyzed him from the neck down.
What? The cops are here. The cops are out front.
What? She said your brother was coming.
And I remember hearing the Sacramento Police Department, we have the hotel surrounded. You and your kids come out. And I looked at him and I told him, I said, it's over. I said, the police are here. And I told him, I said, they want us to come out. And I said, no, we're not gonna do that. And I remember handing him my youngest baby. And I told him, I said, you take her and you walk out first, because they're not gonna shoot you with the baby in your arms. I knew it was over, like life as I had known it, it was over. So he gets arrested and they take him back to the county where we were running from.
Let's go.
Now I've got 5 kids, single mom, no job, strung out on drugs. And it was horrible. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do.
And so eventually he ended up being sentenced. And I'll never forget, they gave him 20 years, 8 months, and told him he would have to serve 85% of it.
We would leave my kids with my aunt and uncle, all the 3 kids, with my aunt and uncle often, so we can go use and find ways and means to get more. And there was a lot of fighting. And one day, they were taken from at my aunt's house. Because my aunt's house had a lot of my family's kids, my kids, her brother's kids, my other brother's kids. And they did a visit and they had all these kids, and they're like, for her, for my aunt, she was trying to adopt a kid, her brother's kid. And so she pretty much said that we abandoned our kids. And she can only have so many, and so my kids were taken.
So I'm driving, I'm on my commute to work, and I get to Devil's Slide, and there's a nice little pull-out area right there. And I had kind of had these thoughts in the back of my mind that, maybe the world would be a better place without me. And so I pulled off there to the side, and I kind of pointed my car towards the edge of the cliff. And I just sat there, and I was just looking just for something, anything, something that would give me a reason to live. And oddly enough, I remember it was May 20th because that was payday. I'm thinking, I got a paycheck waiting for me. And that wasn't even enough. I couldn't think of anything. And so I just sat there and I said, okay, and I made the decision. And I was just waiting for a break in the traffic. And so finally there was a break. Highway was pretty busy up at that point. Mm-hmm. So finally there was, and it just punched it and right over. And like I said, God got a sense of humor, so I got a front-wheel drive car. And so I'm sitting on the edge of the cliff, just my front wheels up in the air and just spinning, and I can't believe this. Some lady, I remember just pounding on my window. Oh my, are you okay?
Are you hurt? Are you okay? You can kill yourself, man. You gotta get out of this car. Do you need to call an ambulance?
So my wheels are up in the air spinning, and I'm stuck. And I'm like, I can't even kill myself, right? It was terrible.
I ended up I think I was in 8 different rehabs, and none of them worked. None of them. I didn't get the message. It didn't click, But eventually, for whatever reason, I caught a case. I was caught with, in 2015, I was caught with half a kilo of heroin, $30,000 cash, and 23 firearms. And they were able to pin one of the guns on me because it had my fingerprints on it.
Hands up! Hands up! On your feet! On your feet!
Did 18 months in solitary confinement in Sacramento for shooting a police officer in the ass. So that was not fun. I felt like I was invisible, like I was kind of like a ghost, just floating from place to place. It's blurry, To this day, I wake up in bed sometimes and I'm looking at the ceiling and I remember things that happened, and bad things that happened. And the drugs take control and they want you to do what they want you to do. And when you're on that particular drug, you are a slave. It's a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365 job. You don't get to do what you want to do. When you're addicted to heroin, you do what heroin wants you to do. And that's that. That's the end of it.
I'm so tired of this. Tired of what? The world doesn't revolve around you.
I still was angry. I still had resentments of things in my childhood, of things that happened during my, since I was little, even to my adulthood. you know, of the not protecting and then, you know, when people would say, oh, she did the best that she did with what she knew. I never thought that was okay to say. And I always, to me, it's like when you knew better, you should do better.
I never said the world revolves around me. I want the world to revolve around the both of us.
And you had so many opportunities to do that. You mess up every time.
I'm trying. You know, I'm trying, honey.
What's crazy is that at this time, she was trying to have a relationship with me, and I knew it. But like I said, I didn't know how to have relationships with anybody that used, because I was like protecting myself, so I shut everybody out. And she would be, and she would tell her friends like, oh my God, Christy called me today, or she let me watch a movie today, and you know, so I was supposed to go somewhere to an appointment. I was gonna drop my daughter off with her because I would let her see her sometimes. She was at one of my friends in recovery's house. And so I was gonna take my daughter there while I went to an appointment. And I found her. She was passed away on the couch. And the night before, I was pretty mean. Well, I don't think I was mean, but I was like, I'm in a meeting, what do you want, you know? And I ended up using that day.
So after being left alone with all these kids and being strung out on drugs, I started going in and out of jail. And I ended up on probation. And I remember I was pregnant again with my 7th child. And no, my 8th child, sorry. I was pregnant with my 8th child. And I remember getting a phone call, and it was my sister letting me know that my father had passed away. And here I am, I'm like 8 months pregnant and still using. And I remember I had just gotten high and probation showed up at my house. And they told me that I needed to come and check in with them. And so I went to probation, and they told me to test. And I just looked at him and I told him, I'm going to be dirty. And so they gave me a chance. And they told me, they said, because you were honest with us, we're not going to take you to jail today. I said, but we're going to set a court date. And so they set the court date. And I had my baby in between the time I had gone to probation and the time they set the court date. So my baby is not even 6 weeks old. And I go to court and I have my baby and the guy that I was with at the time.
All rise. The Superior, California, the County of Los Angeles is now in session. The Honorable John Walker is presiding. Please be seated.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Judge Walker. Calling the matter of People versus Thompson, case number 23P200. Are the parties present and ready to proceed? Counsel, please state your appearances for the record.
James Baxter for Ms. Thompson, Your Honor, who is present and out of custody.
Tamara Johnson for the people, Your Honor.
Good morning. Are there any issues counsel wish to raise before we get started?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
This case arises from an alleged probation violation of case number 22C100. This alleged probation violation occurred just 3 months ago while defendant was pregnant with her 8th child. At that time, defendant failed a drug test, which is a probation violation in the state of California. And today, defendant Ms. Thompson appears before us yet again with a charge of possession of a controlled substance. Ms. Thompson, while it may not seem like it to you, probation is a privilege. At the sentencing hearing in case number 22C100, you were given your probation terms, to which you agreed. Among these terms, you were to obey all laws and not commit a same or similar offense. You were being allowed to remain in society and not be sent to jail for the crimes that you repeatedly commit. That privilege, however, can be revoked at any time when conditions of probation are broken, and according to the report from probation, the defendant did in fact violate the terms of her probation. Counselor, what have you to say in her defense?
Your Honor, Ms. Thompson's father has just recently passed away, which did cause an adverse effect on her health. Ms. Thompson has 8 children who desperately need their mother. And she is willing to work with Child Protective Services and the foster care system to do all she can to reclaim her children and change the trajectory of her life. To sustain this probation violation would work an extreme hardship on Ms. Thompson and her children.
And what say the people?
Your Honor, the defendant has had several chances to clean up her life and to take control of her family. Unfortunately, she has squandered each of these chances and taken advantage of the several opportunities that the court has so graciously given her. The people move that the court adopt the recommendations as set forth in the probation report, and that the defendant's probation be immediately revoked, and that she immediately be remanded into custody.
Mr. Baxter, I am inclined to agree with the people and probation. Ms. Thompson has had numerous opportunities to clean up her life. This is the 4th time that her children have been sent into the foster care system due to Ms. Thompson's repeated substance abuse and multiple violations of the law. It is therefore the court's reasoned decision in this matter that Ms. Thompson be found guilty of the alleged probation violation. The sentence from case number 22C100 is hereby reimposed forthwith. Defendant is immediately sentenced to the California Department of Corrections for a term of 3 years, with credit for previous custody time served.
And then I ended up arrested for grand theft auto, which I did not do, but nonetheless, I went to jail for it. When they were like, we're gonna take your kids and like telling me that, you know, these things, I was so much in shame, I just cried through it. I didn't try to say, oh, I wanna get help. I didn't say anything because I felt worthless and they were taken. So I got clean after they were taken. That's the thing, they got adopted out. And here I got clean in 2005. And it wasn't to try to get them back, I already lost them. But I was court ordered to do 6 months in jail, 5 years felony probation and a rehab. I worked in that rehab that a year or two later, I worked in that rehab I left with women and children. And I worked in a runaway safe house for teens.
A couple weeks ago, I relapsed. My friend called me and she said she was struggling, so I went over to her house. This is typical. And she was drinking, and I drank with her.
Your life sucks. You just gotta put in the work. You can't let other people lead you. You know the steps. You know what you have to do. You can't keep putting yourself in these situations.
You can prosper from this. You need to take the initiative and responsibility to put in the work and break this chain of events from happening again. It's your life, and you can change that. You can do this.
It sucks.
It's your life.
You can do better than this. I can be better.
And I worked at AMP. I worked 7 days a week because I was afraid to have any idle time to get in trouble because that's who I was. And I was clean, and I was going to outpatient, and I loved it. I loved like just the new people that I met. They're just always smiling, and I didn't know, it was like, oh, I've never been like this. Like, you get to laugh. But, you know, I liked getting picked up every day to go to to my meeting. And it was just it was a family I never had, right?
I just packed my stuff up from Salinas and Monterey, and I moved. I had this van, and it overheated, and all I had was what I had when I started with my father. But instead of the cabinet shop to live in, I had my van. So when I was in Walnut Creek, I was a working drug addict and alcoholic. And so when I thought I was functional at the time, that working drug addict and functional alcoholic, I would say that lasted about 4 years. Things didn't work out too good for me. And I always visualized this great life, but it wasn't until I surrendered and got into recovery. And the word recovery to me, I could almost throw it aside today and say wellness and quality of life. It's making a decision that's gonna actually help me. And when I'm secure in my recovery, it takes away the insecurities of people that I love to be around me. And I noticed they didn't want to be around me. The judge came to me and said, David, I want you to change one thing. I can help you, but it's going to have to be everything.
Now, I can help you, but it's going to have to be everything.
So what does that look like?
Well, you might have to dig deep inside your heart and your mind and grieve your father's death. I'm willing to be here for you and help walk you through it. Work on yourself. See what that brings you. And if you're interested, I could even help you with an internship. Sound good?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Well, what my mentor and the judge told me at one point is if you don't like something, do something about it, you know. And so, you know, my heart and my passion, you know, and being my background in construction, and this time I've already had all my degrees and certifications and everything. So I opened up my own 2 little treatment centers. I had my own, so it was just me. I was the board, I was everything, but I had a web of some really good people. I mean, I had like hundreds of people that I've been working with this time. So I opened the treatment center, and I even had an adolescence program. The adolescence was through the criminal justice. So I had all these contracts. So now I'm getting the concept of contracts, running the business, you know, making stuff clinically strong, but also being client-centered and using that passion I have within myself.
I feel so shattered, so alone.
And so October of 2000, that's when I really started. And I checked myself into a mental facility because I didn't want to live. I didn't want to die. I didn't know what was happening. And so started there, and they got me into a program. And luckily, they got me into a year-long program because I was really broken and I didn't know it. And so in that program, I got to do a lot of work on myself and a lot of looking at myself.
My life's just been one continual mess up, and everyone I've ever loved has wiped me off. And I don't blame them. I deserve it. All the lies and crud I put them through. My friends and family are gone.
Sean, listen carefully to my words. Where you walk your true walk, where you put your feet, what your behavior is, not just your words, but your behavior. That's the story of your life. Your aftercare plan needs to be centered in community with people that are going to hold you accountable. Those same people, they're going to share the burden, share the load with you. Do you understand?
I don't know, Doc. I don't think I deserve to be loved. I've hurt so many people. I've done so much damage, and
You know, Sean, sometimes we feel that because of all our injuries, all our secrets and lies, our unworthiness, we feel fractured. We feel like that we're not worthy of being part of a community. But that's not true. It's only true if you continue to tell yourself that counterfeit lie. And yes, you're going to have family and friends that no longer want to be connected. But I want you to know, as long as you have breath, there isn't a time or a place where you can't find community and love. Come here.
I didn't meet my conscience until the day I decided to get sober. And all of a sudden he came knocking. Like, hey, I'm here, by the way, and it's time to atone for your sins. Like, you know, you've been working for the wrong guy. The last program I went into, the guy who started the program made me feel like family. And at that time, I was so disconnected from my family. I had no idea, but I was yearning for family. And he wasn't just a guy. This guy became my best friend, you know? And I don't know, I just spent a lot of time with him and saw what he was doing, and something, like a switch clicked in my head, and all of a sudden I had a conscience. And I believe I was 36 when all this finally happened. So.
I think I told you that.
So. You got a place to go after that?
My car. Well, I think you should probably figure that out, right? That's probably a good thing.
I probably should.
So I'll tell you what, if you're interested, we're opening a treatment facility up the hill in Bangor.
Yeah.
We have about 2 weeks worth of work.
Yeah.
If you're down, we do the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll give you a month of funding.
Really?
Does that work?
A month?
Yeah.
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 Yes.
All right, man. Sounds good. Okay. So what's the plan after that? Mama call. That's great. I'll do something else.
They told me that I wasn't getting out this time, that I was going to prison.
Get off me, man! I didn't even do it, man! Everybody here. Let's go! Get in the van, come on, hurry up! Row 2! Chris, you are an animal. Let's go! Let's go, come on, get it back there!
They literally tell you, sit there and think about your life choices that got you to where you're going. And I remember the feeling when that bus pulled into the Sally Port and that gate closed behind me. And I knew there was no getting out. This was it. And so I remember going through receiving, and they have all of us women. There was like 50 of us in a room. No clothes on. It just, the whole intake process was just so demeaning. And I remember being put in this cell, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? The things that go on in there, it's sick. Because, like I said, I had been out of prison for 2 years and was about to discharge parole and started using again. And I remember waking up, somebody kicking my bed, and I opened my eyes thinking it's my kid, but it's actually the police, because they're raiding my house. And I'm on my way back to prison again. But this time, I was pregnant and didn't know it. I was pregnant with my 9th child. So when my baby was 8 months old, I got out, and I decided I was going to do things differently this time. And so I paroled to a rehab. So I did really well for a very long time. I ran into someone that I had known 20 years before, and he had told me he had changed his life, and I had to. And so within 6 months, I married him. And within another 6 months, the marriage was annulled. I had relapsed, and I had lost everything. And I was living in my car with my special needs child in 6 months. And I remember one night I had eaten something and I had an allergic reaction. And I went to the hospital, and I had my baby with me, of course, because I'm living in my car with her. And I remember waking up after they had given me medication, and I'm wanting to leave the hospital, and they wouldn't let me. And I immediately knew why. And so I remember looking down the hall, and here comes 4 police officers with CBS. And I lost it. And it literally took all of those police officers to carry me out of that hospital, because I was not going to lose her, not this time. And so
they allowed me to call my oldest daughter, who came and picked my baby up. And they told me that I had to make a safety plan. And so my daughter took her, and they released me. And the next day, I was calling around to get into treatment because, see, addiction doesn't care. And you can stop using forever. But if you pick up again, it's going to be just as bad, if not worse, than it was when you stopped. And I found that out in 6 months.
I kept losing my kids because I would get clean and get my kids back, and then I'd start using again.
Deon Thompson,
Yes?
we need to speak with you.
Why? What's going on?
We have a warrant for your arrest, ma'am.
No, I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything.
We need to see your children.
Why?
Can we please come inside?
Where's the warrant? No. Where's the warrant?
I received a call from someone who let me know that they had gotten my name from the last treatment center I was in, and that if I was serious about my recovery, that they could help me. And I didn't trust them at first. And I let them know, if you're playing with me, I will find you. But they asked me when I could leave. And I said, I can leave today. And they said, what about tomorrow? And I said, tomorrow's fine. And that's when I knew that God was stepping in to do for me what I couldn't do for myself. And so I flew to Southern California the next day, and I went to treatment. And my insurance lapsed, and they didn't care. And they kept me there for 90 days. And I decided, I'm not going home. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay down here. And so I found a place, and I went and I got my kid, and we went back to Southern California. And things didn't work out so well for me. Things had gotten so bad where I was. My roommate was actively drinking every night.
You can't stay here.
What are you talking about?
You gotta stop. It's not funny. You gotta get rid of this stuff.
Whatever, dude. Get back from rehab. You think you're better than everyone else. I understand, but don't worry. You'll do great. You'll do great. You got this.
No, you gotta get rid of this stuff now. Well, then you need to go.
You can go. You can go. Go.
No, go.
You go. What's wrong with you?
I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I packed up my things, and one of my other daughters drove down to help me, and we packed up everything that I could into my car and my daughter's car, and I drove back. And I went to that place that I said I would never, ever live again. And I had just finished going to school to become a drug and alcohol counselor. And so the place where I was going to, I was like, there's no treatment programs there that I can work in. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll go there for now, and I'm gonna have to make some other plans. So I go back there, and when I get there, someone tells me about a program, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll try it, And so I went and I interviewed, and they didn't have a paid position, but I could intern there. And I said, okay, that's fine. And so I interned there for a year. And, that's when I realized that when I stopped making plans for my life and allowed God to do what He wants to do, everything falls in place. And so I have now been at that company for years. And I work as a supervising substance abuse counselor. I actually worked as an interim director for 2 years with the same company. Stepped down and went back to working as a drug and alcohol counselor. My kids are back in my life. I have a son who is actually a sheriff in Tennessee. Even, with everything that my kids went through with me in my life and the way that I lived, they all pretty much turned out really well. And, that wasn't my doing. That was definitely God's doing. Because had they turned out the way they should have with the way that my life was, they wouldn't be where they are today. And so today I practice allowing God to do his job, and I just listen. And I do what he wants me to do today. Because when I do that, my life is amazing. And I'm no longer that person that I used to be. And there's no way I could have done that on my own.
I don't know what the future holds. I know that today that I get to do a job that I love, so I don't consider it a job. I feel like I get to do what I love, so it's not really a job. I feel like blessed in that area, and that I can do anything that I set my mind to. But I know that I always want to work in the field of being a counselor. But who knows? I know that I'm going to be successful, even if that's just being a grandmother, a mother, and raising kids that don't have to be in an environment like I was raised in, that has a present parent, that has memories, that gets to be heard. I grew up in recovery to be a woman with integrity and, feelings. And I just grew up into a woman I don't even know, but I like her. I really do. I feel blessed that I'm honored that I get to live clean and not have to take something to change the way that I feel because I hurt or someone hurt me. I ain't my addiction. I'm whoever I want to be. And I don't want to forget where I came from because I don't want to be back using again. And if I stop doing all these things that work, like having a higher power, working on myself, doing all the stuff that's been working, I won't stop them because they work. Why would I stop doing something that works for me? I won't. I have this partner, we have this recovery centers. And so we created this behavioral health system. I've come from being homeless. I've come from a broken soul as a kid, just climbing my way to find some direction in life. I met my partner, we kind of created something bigger in ourselves that just really is healing. And it's a true version of hope, health, and healing. I would say we have a behavioral health system and treatment centers to where it's a multi-million-dollar industry, and we're one of the main players in it. I went from being homeless to being like maybe a multi-millionaire, but at the same time, I still answer the phone. I'm solid as far as it goes, and I feel confident. And I can say the biggest thing I always say to myself, at least I got it right the second half part of my life, because, it feels good. It really does. So today, I feel so blessed. I feel healthy. I practice what I preach. I work out. I eat healthy. I have love in my life. I think love will heal anything and everything that you put your mind to. And if you're true to yourself and you actually don't suffer in silence, reach out and ask for help, the world is your oyster.
My self-worth, it came back, it was a long time. coming back. And so I would love to say that as soon as I got sober, I immediately felt worthy, and that just wasn't the case for me. And so it started off small. I remember I had a professional tell me, says, if the best you can do is start small and just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to ruin this person's life. And that's how I had to start, is that, I'm not going to be a wrecking ball through absolutely everything. You know what? I might actually be able to be positive at that point, just maybe a little bit. And that was all I could muster to begin with. And slowly, but so, maybe I can be a little more positive. And now it's to the point where, maybe I can actually help. Maybe I can do good in the world and spread good throughout, as opposed to chaos and confusion and anarchy. I don't think I'm anybody special or anybody of any kind of real remark or anything like that. I'm not going to, change the world on a global scale, but I would like to consider myself, just if I can change a handful of people in my life, and then they can go out and change a handful of people in their life, and slowly, much more slowly go out and spread positivity, love, and healing. Again, I don't think my story is too unique or too terrible. I know I've heard far worse stories than mine that have gotten sober and stayed sober and lived happy, healthy, amazing lives today. So I would say no matter how far you think you've gone, you can come back.
It's a constant battle. It's a day-to-day battle every single day. My counselor told me that no matter how many days, how many years, how many whatever your clean time is, your addiction's in the back of your head doing push-ups right now, waiting for you to go, oh, I could do one pill. I could take one hit. I could do one shot. Your addiction's in the back of your mind doing push-ups, waiting for the right moment to come out again. I believe God had a huge part in me getting sober. And I didn't think that at first. I didn't believe in God for a long time. I didn't think God was there, because if God were there, why would he allow children who are innocent at the time, why would God allow them to be in this situation? So for a long time, I didn't think there was a God. And then eventually, when I got sober, I started seeing miracles happen. When you really get sober, that's when the doors open. That's when the miracles happen. That's when you can see God. So I will say that I was a general, a lieutenant for the devil for a long time, because I was doing his work. So yeah, God played a part of it, but he might have been mad at me for a while. And I think eventually, when I went to the program I think God and I got right with each other. So yeah, I had to switch sides, if you will. If you can make it to the point of the transformation where you don't have to be controlled by drugs anymore, if you can make it to that point, and you'll know the point because God's gonna let you know. God gives you a feeling and says, you can go down this road or you can keep going down this road. It's up to you. We all have free will. And if you choose that right road, then you'll know, and you will transform, and you will be able to come back. The way I look at it is, if I can come back from where I was, anybody can. And I mean anybody. I did not think in a million years that I would ever be sober and stop using. Never. I finally found the warm hug. And it wasn't in a shot of heroin. It was in life.
Hey everyone, I'm Stephen Baldwin. And I don't know about you, but to me the world seems to be getting crazier and crazier each and every day. That's why my words to you right now are very important. My heart goes out to the families and the young people that are struggling. Studies have shown that some individuals may be at greater risk for substance use disorder due to a genetic predisposition, and seeking help may be beneficial to the health and well-being of the entire family. While every family is unique and there can never be a one-size-fits-all solution, trust me, I come from a very unique family. Scientific research shows that professional support often plays a major role in recovery. If you or a family member is experiencing substance use disorder, you don't need to suffer alone. The door is open today for treatment and help.